Facebook says it's gearing up for the U.S. election. The company announced it would stop accepting new political ads across its properties a week before the U.S. presidential election as part of its steps to stop election interference, quoting Casey Newton on The Verge. Candidates and political action committees will continue to be able to buy ads that have already received at least one impression by October 27th, the company said. They can also choose to target those existing ads at different groups or adjust their level of spending. But they won't be able to launch new creative campaigns, a hedge against candidates spreading misinformation during a particularly fraught moment in the company's history. The move represents a compromise between critics who demanded that the company stop selling advertising altogether and political campaigns who argued that ads benefit lesser-known candidates and can be essential for get-out-the-vote efforts. Other steps announced by Facebook today include putting the company's voter information center at the top of the Facebook and Instagram feeds. The widget contains accurate, verified information and videos about how to vote and will remain at the top of the feed until Election Day. It will begin appearing this week for all U.S. users, Facebook said. Also, using the Voter Information Center to educate Americans about the fact that the winner of the presidential election might not be declared the night of the election, as mail-in ballots could take days or weeks to be counted. Also, providing live official election results as they become available through a partnership with Reuters. The information will appear in the Voter Information Center, and Facebook will also deliver updates via push notifications and removing posts that contain, quote, clear misinformation about COVID-19 and voting, end quote. So, good. Ads that say you'll catch COVID-19 by voting will be removed, and yet, given COVID-19 and the current situation, it's expected that 80 million people will vote before Election Day. So all of the potential harm that Facebook wants to prevent happening the week before the election, that harm can still be done for all of those 80 million voters voting all the weeks up until that final week. Also, candidates will still be allowed to claim victory or cast doubts on election results. That's still allowed. And heck, the exception that Facebook carved out that straight up allows candidates to lie in ads, it still remains as well. So, Meanwhile, more consequentially, perhaps, Facebook also said it will limit message forwarding on Messenger to 5 people or 5 groups at a time to tackle the spread of misinformation. This is down from the previous 150-person forwarding limit. It mirrors what Facebook did recently with WhatsApp and what it's done in other countries where its platform was accused of aiding actual genocides. It also mirrors the increasing calls by critics, which run basically like this. Okay, maybe there's no way to stop harmful content at scale on social platforms, but we could put guardrails in place that would structurally, essentially, put speed bumps in the way of the spread of harmful content. Back to the political stuff, though, quoting the New York Times. Thursday's changes, which are a tacit acknowledgement by Facebook of how powerful its effect on public discourse can be, are unlikely to satisfy its critics. Some of its measures, such as the blocking of new political ads a week before Election Day, are temporary. Yet they demonstrate that Facebook has sweeping abilities to shut down untruthful ads should it choose to do so. Some said blocking the ads would do little to reduce misinformation and that the social network should go further. Tara McGowan, the chief executive of the liberal nonprofit group Acronym, said in a statement that right-wing publishers on Facebook such as Breitbart would fill the vacuum. Quote, by banning new political ads in the final critical days of the 2020 election, Facebook has decided to tip the scales of the election to those with the greatest followings on Facebook, and that includes President Trump and the right-wing media that serves him, she said. The Trump campaign was equally critical of Facebook's moves. Quote, when millions of voters will be making their decisions, the president will be silenced by the Silicon Valley mafia, who will at the same time allow corporate media to run their biased ads to swing voters in key states, said Samantha Zager, a campaign spokeswoman, end quote. Look, on stories like this, I always find it useful to see what Zeynep Tufekci thinks, and Zeynep tweeted this, quote, there are the details. And there is this. Mark Zuckerberg alone gets to set key rules with significant consequences for one of the most important elections in recent history. That should not be lost in the dust of who these changes will hurt or benefit. There is no alternative platform to Facebook that would counterbalance being banned or limited from it for electoral politics. An even stronger effect in some other countries. This fact stands even if Facebook, for now, bans, limits, or hinders one's own side, end quote. In other words, timely reminder that completely unelected, completely unaccountable to literally any other person or government in the world, Mark Zuckerberg alone remains the most politically powerful person in modern history. And there is nothing that you or I or anyone else can do about that.